Hello and welcome to the 4 Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined by Matt and Chad. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, Brad.
So we decided to do some Lucha Libre this week because I think it was Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide this weekend.
Yeah, this past weekend was I guess the debut, if you want to call it, I guess, of the WWE version of AAA.
And it
And they
was
did the show.
it
Well,
was
they did the
generally
show really.
it was generally well received by all parties, by Mexican
Uh,
fans, WWE fans. It seemed like they threaded the needle okay. I personally think they should have had the AAA talent win more.
there's a couple things that annoyed me about it. I haven't heard such glowing good things about it. I heard people were expecting it to, be trash, and it was fine. Um, uh, One of the things that annoyed me about it, and that's kind of why I suggested doing some lucha matches, is they had Rey Mysterio Jr. come out there and basically say, flat out say, oh, it's good that the WWE is now finally legitimizing lucha libre, and it's like that, dude, that is the most bullshit statement that you have probably ever uttered out of your lips, and it's shameful that you of all people are saying that shit. I don't care that they got, they're making the son of your idiots. They're making the career of your idiot son. But come on, that can't be worth it. Come on.
That
That's
God,
some,
that's
I love. I
such
love
a
Ray, but
Triple H line.
that's such sell your soul shit. That ain't worth it, bro. That's not true. But
Yeah, because
um,
I wouldn't even say like if you're talking about for American audiences, they haven't even done as much as WCW did, and WCW wasn't even
oh
true lucha.
no, no.
And now I
I
will say the one thing I did see where some complaints was that the it really exposed how bad WWE handles their Mexican talent because people saw these AAA talents that had their own personalities, like their characters and their own styles. Then you have WWE and they just kind of don't have anything.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
the one guy was a real hit that I don't know a ton about.
Oh,
Um,
Mr. Iguana.
yeah,
That to me, I find absolutely hilarious, but also annoying, because Mr. Iguana, he can do some acrobatic spots, but he's a total comedy gimmick. He dresses in green. He has an iguana puppet that he comes out there with. He does spots. The puppet's name itself, and his gimmick largely, it's kind of an inside joke because in Mexican culture or whatever like that, it's a stoner gimmick. He's a pothead, and the name of the iguana is actually a slang Mexican name for pot. It's like if they did an American gimmick, and he's clearly obviously a stoner, and he's named his pet iguana, Reefer or something
Blazer.
stupid. Yeah, something like that. So, but that's what got over to the point where even WWE, on Raw, they're showing clips of him and everything like that, and it's this so perfectly encapsulates the audience that they have cultivated. One, they're hypocritical as fuck because it's just it's a comedy gimmick that's not even as good of a comedy gimmick, or as nuanced or as layered as a comedy gimmick like Orange Cassidy. But they shit on Orange Cassidy and other people that AEW has done, or other people out there, and yet they absolutely the WWE universe has fallen in love with Mr. Iguana. That's the first thing. The second thing is of course you want to fall in love with the guy who, while maybe he has some talent, it's not about actual wrestling or anything like that. It's a funny gimmick that kind of is photogenic. He looks interesting. He's funny. Of course, yeah.
Dude,
It
I quit
it's
on. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
well, no, I was kind of just. It kind of goes with some of the stuff that their audience is just ridiculous. To brief, not to sidetrack, but to talk about something that happened on Raw last night. But Jey Uso lost the title. and I literally saw a guy. Now he's like a Bloodline super fan, but he's like, "Oh man, I'm so heartbroken. I loved the Jey Uso reign, like the feels, the vibes." And it's like,
I don't even think they're in
this
fans
is why
like that.
this is why you should be mocked. This is why you and the WWE should be mocked relentlessly, because that's all you give a shit about. You don't care about the fucking wrestling. You don't care that Jey Uso was
I'm going to defend
hot pack of ass.
I'm going to
Like, you
defend
just
their
care
fan
that
base.
he's like, you know,
I'm going
the
to defend their
vibes.
fan base. That person's an obvious idiot, and I've only heard their fans say Jey Uso sucks and they hate his reign. It's why it ended so quick. Like, that's obviously a freak that's either on the payroll or a bot, but like their fan base seemed to quickly realize he is not it. I'm actually surprised they jumped ship on him so quick as champion.
I would have thought he would have like held it until like SummerSlam.
That's what I thought.
Right.
Because they don't really cut ties. Because the Damian Priest, they had that on him for like forever, and he was an abject failure as champion.
I think I saw someone do the math, and they said that this is the first time that in the Triple H era that there's been a champion who lost the title in more than a day but less than 100 days. And so that meant that if they didn't lose it the same night, then it was a 3-month reign at least.
If you have that statistic and you're like almost 3-4 years into like your reign as a booker, like you're a bad booker. Like that should not, like you should not have this gulf of, oh, you might lose it the same night, but if you do, you're good for like 6 months. Like that's part of my problem with them is like the John Cena reign. Like it's not working, but it's like, well, they're gonna take that probably to forever because they don't have titles change hands very much on non like giant pay-per-views, and it's like the main world title is like a mania to mania thing now. Like I think that's a problem of sometimes and that's a problem I think Ring of Honor had for a long time, is you need to throw shorter reigns in there to like just to keep people honest.
Yeah. Just to keep them on their toes. That was anyway,
unless you're like God. CMLL or AAA and you just forget about titles for like years at a time, and then you're like, oh yeah, we should probably like book those strong again.
So what I was going to say, Matt, is that I quit on, or I just laugh off WWE stan smearing of Orange Cassidy ever since they shoehorned Kyle O'Reilly into being an Orange Cassidy ripoff right before his contract ended.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
but
he's like cool Kyle O'Reilly, and he is doing the exact same damn gimmick.
The problem is they criticize the Orange Cassidy gimmick for things it hasn't been for literally years. At this point.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And he's been even serious for like 2 years now in AEW, and before then it wasn't like he wasn't just purely a comedy gimmick. But in fairness, like I'm equating that because the audience that does the WWE audience will shit on comedy stuff that AEW does, and of course like they just ask for seconds when it's the WWE doing all that sort of thing. So the Mr. Iguana thing kind of irked me. But in fair, specific about Orange Cassidy, it's not just WWE. It's all the really very poorly educated, I feel, Cornette fans who are still trumpeting that line too. And it's
who say things.
Just stop.
Or the bitter indie vets that say things, and it's like, I literally watch 80s wrestling as my preferred style of wrestling, and what you're saying is objectively not true. Like when they say stuff like, oh well, you could just work a leg or an arm for 20 minutes and the crowd be captivated. I'm like, no. Like I can literally pull matches up where the crowd's chanting boring, or you can hear the crowd visibly getting angry that they're not doing anything.
Brad, I'm sure you've probably seen like some of the early 80s like WWF shows where it would be like, Jose Luis Rivera versus like Baron Mikel Cicluna.
No, it's
like that.
SD Jones versus Baron Mikel Cicluna, because they're like when it was 24/7. I swear to God, I saw that fucking match. like 20 times across house shows, and it always went long, and it was always terrible.
Oh, you'd be
Oh
getting
God.
like a 20-minute match between those two of like 5 minutes, where it'd be like, SD Jones putting Cicluna in a headlock, and it's like it was just terrible. The crowd
Not a
was
good
bored.
headlock.
Yeah, don't give me like the whole like you can work a wrist lock for like 20 minutes. It's fine. It's like no.
No, and like WWE, like in the 70s, like terrible to you. It gets better. It gets better like towards the latter part, because like you get guys like Greg Valentine, Bob Backlund, like Iron Sheik when he could still move, and you get like guys like that kind of up in the and you get like Pat Patterson, Ted DiBiase. You get guys kind of upping the standard a lot for them, but
Yeah. Well,
largely
it's also
not good.
no wonder Bruno was so over. Now, not to diminish Bruno, because Bruno I think was legit good, and he had ridiculous charisma,
And he had a good
he deserved to be like a megastar.
And he
But yeah.
had a good Bruno had flaws as a worker, but what I will say, he has probably over a lot of people, like his comebacks were really good.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, no wonder like he really was a standout. He was good, he had charisma, and he had fire. And like if Bruno was in the modern era, like this is a guy who still would become like a big star, because he had it. Like he was, but when he was definitely a standout back then. When you had some really boring. Who's it gonna? I mean, Chief J Strongbow. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah, Pedro Morales, I don't think's particularly good. I don't like Bruno.
No, although Pedro did like everything back in the day.
But
in
like,
WWF.
But like Bruno, I've come to respect. The more I've seen him, the more like I understand about wrestling. The more I've seen, like Bruno always creeps up a little bit. Like, the more I see of him, the more of his matches. Like when you do the Zbyszko stuff, like some of his promos I really liked. Just the way he handled the match with Zbyszko, like his theatrics, like the story they told of him kind of breaking Larry's brain because like he was just so much better, and he was going easy on him.
Yeah.
So like Bruno always kind of creeps up a little bit the more I see of him. Like Pedro Morales, never. Like I'm just like, oh God, he sucks. And like Bruno's always like, I always find something new to respect about Bruno, but Pedro, I don't. I still
think about that because we watched it for the show. I still think about that promo he cut with the Larry feud, where he basically is like almost like not apologetic, but he's like, look, like he doesn't know what he did. Like he doesn't know how I'm gonna tear him apart. It's really very unfortunate for him.
Yeah.
It's like that was if you think about it, it's a good promo, but it's also like stone cold, because it's like, oh damn, like Bruno was holding back, and then that kind of did equate to the matches, like because when Bruno like turned it on, it's like ooh, like pissing off a big Italian bear. Like he like Larry was in for some trouble.
And the way he just walks away from him when he's done like beating him up in the cage match, and just walks out of the cage because he's done with him.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
That's the only time I think the door exit has made like a match better.
You know what? Yeah, I can get behind that. God. So it happened, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Then I will give Trips credit for something. He saw someone get hot and decided to do something with it, which is better than Vince most of the time. But still, man, it's just...
I think the problem, though, is like even Vince at his worst at the end still had a better pulse on the fan base, though, because they'll just do stuff now that doesn't work, and they'll just keep
doing it.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like I would probably get drugged for this, but like I don't feel like the Seth Rollins heel stable thing's kind of working as well as they want it to.
I don't know. I haven't watched.
It just feels like
I just don't.
It feels like when you do that reconfigured heel stable, like when your promotion's not hot anymore, and like it's kind of not working, but it's not working either. but you can tell like the fire's not there anymore.
Well, I mean,
And I don't see
not
how it
to
helps
be-
Braun Breaker. Like their configuration is stupid. Like to have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker in the stable, because like
you've got two guys doing the same thing.
yeah, and Braun Breaker's clearly far better at it than Bronson Reed is.
Yeah.
That and Bronson Reed got injured attacking Seth Rollins, which
It is. I don't want to steal somebody else's gimmick, but it's the Voices of Wrestling flagship. You know what happens? Triple H has 3 stories, and one of them is a group with dissension, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's what we got.
yeah,
We got a group with dissension.
that's overdone in wrestling in general. Like I kind of like the groups that are together and they just genuinely like each other, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
we did a selection of matches. We actually picked all singles matches, surprisingly. So these are all from the aughts from Mexico. So we're gonna go sequentially here. So our first match of the night, I'm gonna list them off, then we'll go through them. So this is the first one is from 2001. This is going to be El Hijo del Santo versus LA Park. Then we're going to head over to CMLL for the rest of the night. So from 2005, we have Perro Aguayo Jr. versus Mistico. Then 2006, we have Dr. Wagner Jr. versus LA Park. And then we go to 2007, and that is Averno versus Mistico. So we are going to start with the 2001 match. So this is like, I looked it up. So this is like a freelance show. So it's kind of just a one shot, not affiliated with a promotion. So, and it does show because I wanted to smack the shit out of the cameraman during this match because like,
yeah.
zoom out, motherfucker. And then it's like, why are you zooming in on the pools of blood? Like that's, I did not need that. So, this is a little weird because Santo is kind of working Rudo and Park is working Technico.
Yeah, I was really thrown off by that because
Yeah.
it took the first fall. So the first fall,
Pretty much
really, it was
Santo
just like
treats Park like he owes him money.
the first fall. Now again, this I wasn't necessarily thrown off because as we've probably seen her in Shad, you may have had like the least exposure to Lucha
Yeah.
of the three of us. But I did like just overall, generally speaking, the matches we saw. I think for someone like you who's more like novice or less experienced, it did kind of give you a lot of what you see with the structure. At least for sure with like singles matches in Lucha, where there's almost like a pattern. Like everything is basically, para tres caídas, like 3 falls. Everything's like 2 out of 3 falls.
There's the occasional single fall, but that's typically a gimmick match.
It is a
Yeah.
structure that, I mean, it's there and that's how they do it, and I guess fine, I guess, and not to be a stick in the mud, but I prefer the standard American. It's like, no, you're gonna have your story structure in the match, but we're only gonna have 1 fall out of it because
Yeah.
what happens is they split the first 2.
You should look at it like
That kind of gives each guy like a little bit of shine.
you can honestly like look at it as 3 separate matches, or you can look at it in 2 segments: the first 2 falls and the final fall, because a lot of times, especially if they're being lazy, they'll just blow through the first 2 falls and then but sometimes they'll build too, like the falls will build on each other. But like I think especially the Averno Mistico match, you got the Rudo because Chad was asking some questions, and I kind of said like, well, Rudo's there to bully and kind of keep the Technico down, and the Technicos are gonna fly. And then Chad was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, the Rudo is going to smother the Technico from doing cool stuff, and when the Technico gets loose, he's going to do cool stuff.
And honestly, if you just looked at it, like if you just said like this is a Saturday morning cartoon, or like a superhero comic, like the dynamic works in that sense too, because like the Rudos can be comically evil at times.
Okay.
Yeah. But with that preface, like the first fall was basically Santo, El Hijo del Santo, just beating the piss out of LA Park.
There was this part where he had him and he was like forearming him in the head, and I was just like, God, man, he's laying that.
Oh, he was. It was just brutalizing him, and I didn't necessarily think that was a tell, because again, like that happened. You'd have like the first two falls where it's just like,
if it's
that, like they
it's obviously a feud match too, so you don't know like what Park's done to piss him off. Like this could be hit, because the other thing is, just to bring another match in, like we saw Rudo Park, and Rudo Park shows his ass a lot in these kind of matches. So I was just kind of, and I had watched this last, so I'm like, oh, okay, well he's doing his Rudo thing and he's getting his ass beat. But then the more the dynamic went on, I'm like, well, no, like I think Santo's the bad guy here.
Yeah, Santo was the heel in that. I guess I've never seen him work heels, so I was like thrown off, because Santo, his father, the original El Santo, and then El Hijo del Santo, like Santo is luchador, the world of luchador. He is like, I would suppose you could say he's like the Hulk Hogan.
He had a movie career, like an extensive movie career that we only have. I think I have both of them. We only got two here that are translated in English, and hilariously enough, one of them was on MST3K.
It was, yeah, but he was like a cultural like force.
Him
like
and Blue Demon.
Blue Demon. Yeah, because El Santo for sure. It's like, I say Hulk Hogan because it's like Hulk. If you talk to people in the street, like it's like name a professional wrestler, like they would probably name Hulk Hogan, because he's arguably the biggest wrestler that they've ever had, you know, in all time. Like maybe now some people might say somebody like Ric Flair or something like that, but Hogan, I don't even feel does justice to the original Santo, because like Hogan had a movie career. Like Santo may be like The Rock, but people know Rock more like from acting. But it's like, what if they know him more from wrestling, who also had a successful acting career, versus like a very successful actor who used to do wrestling stuff? I mean, Rock was incredibly successful either way, but
go to like a Mexican festival, like go to like a Day of the Dead festival or anything, and find someone selling luchador masks. And I bet you it'll be him, it'll be Blue Demon, and who's the other one they always use? There's three you always see, and because I was with someone, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Blue Demon. Like, how do you know? I'm like, because I know the mask.
Is it Wagner?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
You do see Wagner a lot.
I think it's him, Santo, and Blue Demon.
I've seen I've shopped masks both in Southern California and in Texas, and I will also say you see a lot of Rey Mysterio and Mistico. Like, of course, like you see both of them, because they are, of the last like 25 years, they're two of the biggest luchador stars. So
I'm talking like a street vendor that has like three, like an assortment of three that they either maybe made or they got like a bulk like thing of. But that's usually like the ones I've seen. But like, no, Santo's huge. Like I don't know how extensive his filmography is, because I'm still butthurt we only got two of them translated. Maybe three. It's two or three, but we got a very.
Do you know how many movies he did?
I would say he did at least 50.
Whoa, that's way more. That's way more. I would have thought.
Well, I mean, they're B movies.
I would have thought you were going to say like he did like a dozen.
Hang on, I'm looking.
No, it was quite a few, because
in 1952, a superhero motion picture serial was made entitled "The Man in the Silver Mask," and Santo declined to appear in it.
Doesn't work for me, brother. Like,
That doesn't work for me, brother. Oh God, they're not.
Brad, maybe Mil Mascaras. You might see his mask around.
No, because I think he's a litigious motherfucker about his mask.
See,
I think he's an ass, so I don't think I really would want his mask, but
yeah. The thing about Santo and Wagner and Blue Demon is I think those are all so basic that they're easy to do. Because I mean, Santo's is just silver all over, and Wagner's is green but white trim around the eyes and the mouth and the nose, and then I think Blue Demon's is the same way, right? Like the blue hood, but then the trim.
He's got a little more. Blue Demon's got more going on. I was trying to count.
Okay. Now I gotta look.
He's in a shitload. He was in movies from like. Let's see, when did he start?
Oh, okay. No, Blue Demon mask. It's blue, and then it's got kind of there's the upswept points off of the eyes, and it's around the eyes and the nose and the mouth.
He did 2 to 4 movies a year from 61 to Did he ever slow down?
Holy Moses.
Shit. It's way big. Okay. He slowed down a little bit. He worked till 84. And for a lot of those years, he did 2 to 4 movies.
Nah, I'm trying to find. Okay.
Oh, since he finally popped in, Vectron, thank you for the sub to the Black Pants Legion Twitch. Because I think he subbed me because I made a drive-by bidding.
Yeah. You drove by and threw some bits.
Well, I popped in and you had a hype train going, so I popped some bits in.
Oh God, they do that. They've been doing that to me, and it's absurd how high that gets. I'm like, why are you doing this? This is crazy. Whatever. Okay. Let me see. I can sit here and count them, but I was just trying to find a number.
I would say he's been at least, I would say 50 wasn't a bad guess.
Probably not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, I would actually really like to see that one. Now I will say, so Santo does get busted open on this one, and boy does he bleed.
Yeah, so the first fall was just Santo beating the piss out of Parka. He gets the first fall.
By the way, it's 55
and the second fall,
movies.
Yeah. I was only off by 1. I said 54.
Yep.
In the second fall, Santo's still beating the piss out of him, including putting him in submission holes, but Parka won't submit. Then Parka takes over when Santo misses a dive. And then that's where I don't know exactly where he got busted open, but Santo does get busted open.
I think when they were in the crowd is when he got busted open. Because when they got back around the ring, he seemed like he was bleeding.
Yeah, and then obviously Santo's outfit is silver, but it's very light colored. Ellie Park is wearing an all white suit. Yeah. Like even the mask is white, which I don't know if the intent. This was like a feud match, so I don't know if the intent was to get color. Maybe there was a plan, maybe some color.
That's absolutely.
I don't know.
He was gushing too well for that to have been a hard way.
Yeah,
because usually Hardway's usually are usually all fucked. Like they don't bleed enough. They're bleeding in the wrong places.
It would not. The only hardway I ever had was right here, and it bled down this way. But even doing that, it wasn't eyebrow is one thing, and it'll bleed some, but it won't bleed like a scalp wound does.
Yeah, and Santo is bleeding he had the perfect gusher going because he was like
it was a lot of blood.
He was
shocking amount of blood
because it just kind of kept going. There's a point where he's he was like they kind of did like the hang from like the top rope, and it just like gushed off his head.
Mm.
And like there was a point where I would have been pissed if I was in the front row because there was a point where they were throwing each other into the chairs and he bled all over the chairs, and I'm like, well, like, do you just stand there? Do you dip your ticket in it? Like,
I love that thought. It's like, just get a little bit of Santo blood on my ticket. Yeah, I didn't expect Santo as the heel here either, because I mean it's the son of the saint, right? Like
yeah.
the saint.
And
That's like it's in the gimmick.
And Park had like Park had a silver outfit too, which accentuated even more, but which makes me think they intentionally. But he had this
They knew they were going to gig for this.
He had this huge splotch of red on his back.
He had a huge splotch of red everywhere.
I know. And then like the cameraman, because he was an idiot, was like there were just pools of blood in the ring. Because the cameraman felt the need to
Oh yeah, zoom in on it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like there's blood right there, and the cameraman like, you see this blood, and you're like, dude, we get it.
I think this match was a first for Shad because there were Rudo referee tactics in this one.
Yeah, true, there were.
Which I laughed because there's this point where they kind of like end up and the Rudo ref just kind of pulls Santo over and like tries to make the count real quick, and the other referee's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Yeah, I know it because he's like, dude, no.
But man, those chairs.
What's wrong with you?
Those chairs had to hurt, and they were like chucking each other into those chairs.
Yeah, those were straight up stadium seats. Those were, and they were all connected together. So.
Yeah, because they weren't in a huge venue, but I mean, it was hard to tell. I wouldn't be shocked if they had like 1,000 or 2,000 people in that venue, though.
Yeah. There was plenty.
Yeah, but I thought this was so this is hard because I liked all the matches a lot this week, and if you ask me which one's my favorite, I don't know if I have an answer because they all have something to them.
I don't know if this was my favorite. Probably not, but I did enjoy it. It was interesting to see Santo work heel, and the second fall, like there was some heel referee stuff towards the end, but it did kind of turn into like just a bloody war between the two of them.
Yeah,
where they were just like and Chad, like this is what happens sometimes with like especially one-on-one lucha matches, which perhaps like you didn't quite get from like the Mistico, because the Mistico matches were like more acrobatic, but
he saw the
sometimes it is.
He saw the MS1 Sangre Chicana match we did.
Like the matches, whether they involve blood or not, if they involve blood especially, but if they don't, like they will just turn into like just brawls, just like slap down brawls. Like the guys just, if it's a feud match, if it's just like, two guys like didn't like each other, like you may get something more like the Mystical matches you've seen, which is not a bad thing. But this was very much like these two guys were in a feud of some sort, and they didn't like each other, and there's blood involved. So now they're just gonna go to war with each other. And it was not the best of those type of matches I've ever seen. I'm not even talking about lucha; I'm just talking about bloody brawls. But
yeah,
I did like it. It was entertaining, and it was fun, and it was almost a curiosity to be seeing Santo work heel. I guess he has worked heel at least for a point in his career. I think he had a heel tag team. Was it with Brad? Was it with Negro Casas, or was it somebody?
Yeah, it might have been Negro Casas.
Yeah, who's also one of the best luchadors of all time.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever covered him either.
No, there was kind of some discussion, I guess, because the WWE AAA show that happened Saturday, but there was some discussion of where Ray ranks, Ray Mysterio Jr. ranks, and some people take the opinion like, oh, he's one of the best luchadors of all time. Some other people are like, well, he's one of the best wrestlers of all time, but he's not one of the best luchadors. And I almost feel like
very short time in Mexico. That's kind of the problem with saying he's one of the greatest luchadors. Is like he's like I would agree he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but like when you think of like luchadors, like that, but that's where like the novice comes in because like when so if you say think of luchadors, like it immediately goes to okay, well, Blue Panther, El Hijo del Santo, Santo, I'm just naming
Negro
names.
Casas that we just mentioned.
Negro Casas, Black Terry,
Well,
Perro
well,
Perro Aguayo Jr.
Just going off what like the matches we saw here, like Perro Aguayo Jr. was good. I know that I put him in like the best, but you have El Hijo del Santo, L.A. Park, Dr. Wagner Jr., Mistico. Like all of those guys right there, I would say, are really top luchadors. And that's like scratching the
Averno
surface.
isn't a slouch either.
No, Averno is good. He's very good. But yeah, like I would kind of be in that where it's like Ray was
Viano,
really
Tricero, I would have over Ray. Like,
I would say that.
Atlantis is one of my favorites.
yeah.
Yeah, I can understand the opinion that Ray was not in the lucha ecosystem enough to be the greatest luchador ever, but I would say that he's like the best ambassador for it, maybe for bringing people into like stuff about it and that sort of thing. But that's a very complex way of agreeing with you, I guess.
It's a time thing because, like, really, he was only there a couple of years, and then he was largely a U.S. worker, other than some bouts of being back in like a Lucha Libre promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I don't think. I mean, his AAA run, I would have to look at their card placement and stuff, but like that would be his biggest claim as far as like drawing over there, like long term. Because like when you talk about Mistico, and we're gonna get into his run, but like Mistico was like the biggest drawing ticket in that like 2005 to 2007 range.
Yeah.
So let's go to our next match. So this is actually one I'd seen previously. I saw it when it happened. This is Mistico versus Perro Aguayo Jr. This is a personal favorite of mine.
Okay.
So this is a feud match, and they go pretty hard in this one. And what I like about Perro Aguayo Jr. is he's just a very good Rudo. Like he's just such a douche. And what I also like about this match is the good guy actually outsmarts the bad guy, which is a rarity in wrestling. So the finish to the third fall, we can branch out from there. So the referee kind of gets taken out, and Perro Aguayo Jr. pulls his mask off and rolls him up. And there's no referee, so while he's being rolled up, Mistico uses that chance to kind of grab his mask and put it back on. Aguayo gets pissed off because the referee comes in, doesn't make the count enough. And Mistico uses that chance to do his he kind of does like a head scissor into like a arm bar is kind of his finisher, and so that's what costs him the match. But I like that Mistico outsmarted him.
Yeah,
this was a really fun match. It kind of it might tie with another one where it's like a coin flip to me whether I liked it the most of the four we watched. Just as an aside, like Perro Aguayo, this was when I don't even feel this was near like the tops of like the Perros del Mal. It might have just been
this was like right at
just
the
getting
start
started.
of it. This is like the start of it, really. I would say this is right like probably the start of its like apex.
Yeah, and I'm nowhere near an expert, but they got in Mexico, they got that unit got of which he was the head. They got super over to the point where they were kind of you don't like to make these comparisons because it's kind of fraught, but they were kind of like the NWO.
They were.
Like they were just huge, and they were not necessarily cool heels, but they were really over, and people just loved like seeing them, and they just ran roughshod over or like CMLL. But
I was trying to think. I should have looked it up, but Atlantis turned Rudo at this time, but I don't remember if he joined Perez Del Mal or if he was like with Ultimo Guerrero and like Rey Bucanero.
I think it was that. I don't think it was the. I think it was the latter. Like,
Because I think it was them because he was coming out to "We Will Rock You" by Queen when he'd come out, which was not Perez Del Mal.
Yeah, because I feel he was teaming with them.
Because he had like the camo shirt and all that stuff when he was doing it.
Yeah, yeah, because Ultimo Guerrero and Rey Bucanero were a tag team like around that time. They were really awesome. Like I was definitely like watching Lucha like at this time.
And I think they came out to. I think they came out to "We Will Rock You," so I think that's why I think he was with them at the time.
Yeah. Perro Aguayo was awesome. Like he was a really, really good heel in this, and this wasn't even like his peak. Like he got even better, but he was such a little like shit heel. Like even just before, like when they're cutting promos, and now my Spanish is not great, so I didn't understand everything that they were saying. But Perro Aguayo was even just Perro Aguayo Jr., Hijo del Perro Aguayo. At times, I don't know if you heard of the commentary, they said perito, which perito is the diminutive. So it's like I got a laugh out of that, especially since my youngest daughter. So my wife's family is Latin, but my youngest daughter, we have her like in a Spanish immersion daycare, and so she speaks a lot of Spanish. Like it's very cute, and she has a little Spanish accent sometimes. But she sees a dog on the street. She's 2. She's a dog in the street. She's like, "Oh, perito," and it's like, so whenever I heard the announcers say "Call Perro Aguayo Perito," I got a big laugh out of it. Just it's a personal like.
It's a good little, especially for a commentator. It's a great little dig on commentary for the bad guy.
Because it is like the diminutive, but it's also like you're calling him a little dog basically. But he's a great heel, and I messaged you guys before, like after I watched this, it's like his time. He's passed away in 2015.
Tragic.
But,
we talked about it a week or two ago.
We talked about it, and not to be morbid, but I actually looked up the video because the video exists of the incident. And to talk about it again briefly, I saw the incident. It's really difficult to see because he effectively, I guess the cause of death was cardiac arrest, but it happened because he suffered fractured vertebrae in the C1 through C3. And if you know, think about the Big E injury, like I think he broke like what, C1, C2. That's really problematic. One, because like C1 doesn't heal. It's very difficult healing.
Yeah.
And that's right where like your brainstem is.
Yeah.
That's why it's very dangerous to break that, because it can affect your brainstem, and your brainstem controls autonomic functioning. So that your brainstem, it's obviously not part of like your other like cerebral cognitive functioning, but it does all the autonomic systems in that it causes your heart to beat and it causes your lungs to breathe without you having to think about doing that. Yeah. So if that gets damaged, it shuts off, like that can be lights out. And it seems to be that probably is what happened. Like, right. But looking at the video of it, because the video exists, morbid to watch it because you're kind of like watching a guy die in the ring. It's difficult to say how it happened.
Yeah.
Because he takes a drop kick from Rey Mysterio and he goes into the ropes to set up those 619. But it doesn't look like the drop kick. I don't think it was that, because he drops, and then
I think he hit
when he
drops
in position. He drops in position, and one of the other workers, I forget who it was, like hits the ropes next to him. So in theory, like it could have been that, but they don't impact him necessarily. I mean, it could be like the impact of the rope, like causing it. Maybe it was, but there is a point, and this was noted kind of by people kind of doing a, lack of a better way to put it, an autopsy of the incident to see what happened. Like there is a point, and you can see it, his leg, he's like kind of kneeling down, and he brings his left leg into like planting position, like kneeling, and then he's like takes it up and plants it. And it's like that, if he was already dead, he's not gonna, your body can move jerk around, that was too coordinated.
Yeah.
It was like it gets lifted up and planted in a very specific way that you're doing that consciously.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to see exactly what caused the incident. I assume maybe it was like the other guy, if the worker landing on the ropes. I only bring that up because I was just kind of morbidly curious about it.
I think
And we talked about how Rey Mysterio Jr. was really torn up about that. Everything I saw, I would personally find it incredibly difficult to put any sort of blame, even accidental, on Rey Mysterio Jr. because it didn't look like he was directly affecting it, because he didn't even do the 619. Like at that point, he was already like slumped down and people trying to revive. Like it was that didn't even happen. So
take for it what you will, but I think Conan was there and he talked about what he thought happened, and I believe he said the ropes. But it's been years. I'm pretty sure Conan had said the ropes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can see looking at it, that when the other worker hit the ropes, maybe that the rope like whiplashed in like so much force, but it didn't even look like that much force.
You could just
and he had his shoulders over. It looked like it was like where it should be, kind of across like the upper sternum, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like more like towards his neck. I don't know. It's difficult. It's really difficult to see because you're seeing it from the opposite angle. You're not seeing it. Thank God you're not seeing it close up, because that'd be probably worse. But you're kind of seeing it from a distance away, and you're seeing his back. But it's difficult to tell. But nearest I could say, I would not. I personally, nothing I saw. It's accidental, of course, but I wouldn't put even in accidental. It was an accident caused by Rey Mysterio. It's like he was already kind of removed from it when things occurred.
People just wanted someone to blame because they're
you're there with it, and you can't help but feel like you were involved because you were in the ring when it happened, and you've got some survivor guilt going too. It just sucks.
Yeah. So there was something Shad mentioned between all of these, which was he's like, they really sure do go for the masks in these, and Matt and I were like, yeah, this is kind of their feud matches. It's kind of like a way for the Rudo to humiliate the Technico. And it's part of the drama too, because, if you take the mask off, you get DQ'd. But, there's the drama. I mean, Averno was practically unmasked on his, because Mistico got a little rambunctious.
Yeah.
We actually saw Averno, and he was in Action Dean too. He didn't have his mask. He was.
Yeah. Going back to the Paraguay one, I kind of got lost in my thought about discussing the incident that unfortunately caused his death. But he was a guy, he hadn't even reached his full potential at this point in this match. And timing wise, even if he had lived, he'd be like mid 40s at this point. So I don't know that it's like, oh, this guy would be like the biggest star in the industry. Like, I mean, look, in Action Dean, we saw Blue Panther still wrestle, and he's like 65. So would he still be working? Like, unless there was an injury, probably. But
I think he would have been a bigger star if he went back to CMLL. The problem was he was in AAA, and for some reason, like, you can give I mean, it doesn't matter now because they're gone. But like at that point, you could give, and they had like a ton of talent at the time, but you could give AAA all the talent in the world, and they'll find a way to make it not work.
Yeah,
just because of how. Just the way they're stylistically, they just do not. I've never particularly cared much for AAA. There's some points where I thought stuff has been good, but like, they're a little too heavy on the sports entertainment, and I also don't think they've ever made like great use of talent when they have it. I've always been a CMLL guy. Sorry.
Same. No, I completely agree. But if he was around, like, he, I think would have become a big star, and you would, not that like Tony Khan signed him, but you would probably be, much like you're seeing some CML guys there, you'd probably be seeing him in AEW. And because of his charisma and his talent, like, I could see, if he didn't get a contract, I could see like him being featured. Like Tony Khan would maybe do just a flat out angle maybe like weeks long leading up to something like Forbidden Door, because he would be good business. Like he was really talented. He just unfortunately passed away a long time ago. But going back to what you're saying, like the finish of the match, I told you, like, I love it. Like, it was actually incredibly well done. The pacing and the timing was fantastic. Before setting up to it, you had throughout the entire match, like, Mystico's mask was ripped, and there was in the third and deciding fall, they were like brawling outside, and you had Perro Aguayo Jr. like unlacing the mask. It was almost off. Like, it was just kind of like loosely sitting on Mystico's face. And then when they did the final stretch, they're fighting and everything like that. And again, Mystico's mask is loose. Mystico is like on the ref is like kind of attending to him a little bit, and the ref was I told you, I sent it to Chad. He's Baby Richard, who is like a CMLL referee. He's been in other stuff. I feel like we maybe have seen maybe in the Averno match. He's also like Mystico's like personal like referee. Like they're pretty tight. Like
yeah.
But he was like attending to Mystico, and Perro Aguayo runs to the and does a drop kick, and he actually, if you look at it, because I wanted to look, he is aiming for Mystico. Mystico like gets out of the way, and he hits Baby Richard, who like tumbles out of the ring. Now, Baby Richard was a luchador in his day, so it's not like the classic WWE. It's like the ref takes a bump, and then like 20 minutes later, they're still laying of the ring, but he gets back in soon. But it was a cool segment in that like with the ref, it's a ref bump. Perro Aguayo Jr. goes for a low blow of Mystico. Mystico blocks it, but because the mask is loose, Perro Aguayo just like reaches up and it's like yoink, like rips the mask, and Mystico's like covering his face, and then Perro Aguayo Jr. gets him in a small package, and that should have been like the 3. Like you think, oh my god, like it's a 3. But then it takes a while because of the ref bump. The ref goes in there and counts 1, 2, and like Mystico kicks out, gets the mask back on. I didn't even see him like pull the mask back on.
You can actually, I went back. You can see him underneath, kind of grabbing it out of Aguayo's hand and putting it back on.
And obviously they must have worked together for that spot. Like it was all obviously planned, but it was really slick. It was really slick. Paraguay is, he's like now arguing with Baby Richard, and that leads to Mystico doing his like spinning armbar thing, and of course Paraguayo taps. Mystico wins the match. Then there's some like Mystico cuts a promo on him like angrily afterward, and then Perro like gives it back, and then Hector Garza comes out and attacks Mystico, and I forget. I don't know if Hector Garza was part of
yeah, like a lot of those guys that were in WCW as luchadors were in Perros de Mal, like so like Damien and and Halloween were in it. I'd have to look it up again. I don't think Heavy Metal was, because I think Heavy Metal was on the other side. He might have ended up in it though. Hector Garza was in it. Who else was in it?
By the way, Mystico's finish, that tilt whirl head scissors, is called into the arm bar, is called La Mística. And it's like a little bit on the nose here, bud.
And he has his entrance music is awesome.
I love the finish. Like, I thought it was so cleverly done. And again, as I've said before in this show, like the more we have all like matured and watched more wrestling, especially different types of wrestling, you can see like the technical aspect of it, the intricacies, and you can see it's, I guess maybe some people like it would ruin wrestling to know like how the sausage is made, to use an old expression, to know like some of the technical aspects of it to me. But it's like this, it makes me actually appreciate wrestling because I love wrestling. Yeah. And I love it as an art form. So seeing how it can be done at a certain level and intricately done, to me, it makes me appreciate it more. And this is like one of those things. It's like, are people going to be like, this is the best ending segment of all time? It's like, no, and I'm not saying that. But is it a really cleverly done segment that had to be timed and executed in a certain way and was like down to the letter done perfectly, yes, and it was really really cool, and it just makes me appreciate it so much. I thought the match was super fun. You had two really charismatic, entertaining, good workers having just a good match with each other, and I kind of would have seen more because it seemed like, I don't know if they were in a feud or this was almost like a setup to a feud,
he
or just
goes-
Mistico being like the top face
So he
going
this
against
is
like
coming
now
off
a
of
heel faction.
I have to remember my time. So he's feuding a lot with Averno at this time over the welterweight title. He didn't have the belt, I don't think. Then he does the next year is Black Warrior that he takes the mask from at the anniversary show, and then he goes back to Averno for the next feud. I think he and he won the tag titles with someone too, maybe Negro Casas. I was watching a lot. I have to remember this time though, but I think he moved on to other things after this because I think this was like their blow off match. I want to say I love the crowds though, because I love it's more kind of like a soccer game the way they like chant Mistico with like the horn beeps. You get like the double beep and then they all yell Mistico, kind of like it's a soccer match.
Yeah, it took me a second to catch back up. But
They're doing it in the Averno match too, but I love their crowds and like the I don't know what you call them, the things like where like they spin and like the bells and everything. There's just certain things about a Mexican crowd like the noisemakers and the air horns and all that stuff that you don't get in other promotions. And they know how to scurry.
Yeah, they really do.
Because they ended up in Mistico ended up in some furniture a couple of times on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just get the hell out the way, and I respect that. They're aware, and it's just like nope. We're going. We are going.
Or if like the next match, Dr. Wagner Jr. helps an old lady like go the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to rewind because I was like curious. Was like, is he trying to steal her purse? Because like she started to get up. Well, I think what happened is she started to get up, and I think he was like, "No, go that way." Like he's like, "No, go towards the entrance ramp. Don't go out into the." And because he says something to her. I think he was just reassuring her. It was just like, go this way. Cause she kind of goes one way, and then like the ring crew help her.
Yeah, let's not do this. Go that way.
Yeah. But so the next match is Dr. Wagner Jr., who is a personal favorite of mine, against LA Park.
Personal favorite of mine. Absolutely one of my favorites.
So if you don't know about the LA Park Dr. Wagner Jr. match, they pretty much did this feud for years. Like 8 years. And they would just go to indies because this would draw houses. So you would just book them to do their thing because it would get you a house. And they did this for like forever. La Parka I call this La Parka the pretty years. He is also very
before he bulked up a little.
Yeah. And I have to say Wagner throws some nice punches.
I love Wagner. Dr. Wagner Jr., like his dad was Dr. Wagner. He's second generation, but his brother was also Silver King from WCW, if you remember Silver King. Silver King, unfortunately, another guy who passed away probably a decade ago, had a heart attack in the ring.
Yeah.
Passed away. And, from all I kind of mock him because he's old and I don't really like him, but El Satanico was kind of almost to the extent that there's a wrestling union, he's almost like the head of the wrestling union in Mexico. And after that happened, after Silver King died, he actually forced changes in the lucha business where they had to have at least 2 sets of doctors or paramedics at the shows because that was the issue with with Silver King. I think they had they had an inadequate amount of medical personnel, and I don't necessarily think that was the cause of his death. Like he did just
No,
get treatment. I think
but you might have it might have taken the odds up from like 5% to like 8%. Like I think there's
Well, and just in general, Chad, it's like let's err the side of caution of having maybe too many medical personnel in the back.
Yeah, because like when Lawler had his heart attack on Raw, like I mean, if that had been like an indie promotion or like a smaller promotion with less medical staff, he probably would have died.
Yeah. They were right there for it.
Yeah. But Wagner is a guy whose career I've like followed up for years and years and years, and I love.
Also, great ring music.
Great worker. Oh yeah.
Bad Medicine by Bon Jovi. Yeah.
He's just a good worker. He's fun. He has a good mask.
Good charisma, even with the mask on.
Good charisma. I was sad when he lost his mask a few years back to Psycho. Wow.
I love him, but he's bad now. He's not good.
He's like I think pushing 60.
And he doesn't give a shit anymore. He's just cashing checks.
I think that's really the thing. He doesn't kind of give a shit anymore. He's just coasting on the name, and so he doesn't really put forth that much effort. He's certainly not a guy like Blue Panther, who is still putting. Blue Panther at this point, maybe he's just going out there at 65 years old and is still putting on good shit.
Even though he wore the mask for the Cybernetico, even though he lost his mask like a decade ago.
Yes, but I think he's just going out there and he's like, you know what? This kid Ryan Danielson loves me, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try hard.
But that's pretty common in Lucha now. Is like they put the masks back on now. Like I know.
Yeah.
I know Lucha Blog was. I'm not gonna argue with Lucha Blog because like I hate when people do that. It's like I've seen way more Lucha with you, and they've done that. But some of the stuff he's saying, like, come on, Lucha, like they even like the Lucha promotions are like really bending the mask thing to its
breaking point just a little bit so you can put the mask back on, kind of thing.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, it's a special occasion. I'm gonna wear my mask. And it's a day that ends in Y. That's a special occasion, so I'm gonna put my mask on because I can.
Yeah. Well, I put it back on once. Do you want me to take it off again?
Yeah.
I guess in Mexico, because it's a bigger deal in Mexico. In Mexico, if you lose your mask, I would be okay if it's like I'm gonna wear the mask in my entrance, and then when I get into the ring, I'm gonna take it off. Like that'd be cool with. Or I'm kind of okay if in America you want to do it, because that's kind of like, what. Now I feel like in Mexico they're like whatever.
But yeah, it's just like
it's almost like how Rey Mysterio was. Like, oh, I lost my mask in WWE.
Yeah, because
WWE, it's like, what? I never lost a mask. What are you talking about? Like, they memory hold that. But
Rey's thing was straight because Rey's original name was Mysterio, Mysterio, and then whenever he put it back on, they spelled it with a Y. So it's not the same gimmick. You can put it back on now.
No, I think he was originally with a Y in WCW, and they changed
because WCW misspelled it.
Well, they were really bad with like a lot of those names. Like remember Ultimo Dragon was Ultimate Dragon for like the first year he was there, and then they like did a whole correction on it because they didn't get it. But well, and I'm also happy that Rey's career hasn't been too affected by losing that eye in that match with Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
It was so stupid.
And then Seth Rollins puked like a bitch because he couldn't even
you put Seth Rollins in a rough cage match and he's going to chump out, because he did that with that match. The Hell in a Cell with the Fiend.
Oh, they fucked him so bad. I don't like Seth Rollins, but like the way they had him react to the Fiend was just like, you might as well have just like cut his balls off in front of like the
that absolutely happened. It is. Oh God, that was. I don't know who thought that was going to be a good way to finish that match.
Yeah.
Just to be like, well, we're going to have a ref stoppage in a Hell in a Cell. First of all, I'm sorry, what? Second, Seth is going to win, but then after Seth wins, he's going to be so scared. And it's like, why would he be? There's nothing about that makes any sense.
And remember the regular hammer was okay, but no, we can't have the cartoon mallet. That's just too much.
That's just too much hammer for one person to have.
Yeah.
The worst was the Hell in the Cell. I think it was Hell in the Cell, right? Where it was all just red.
Yeah.
And it's
same
like,
one.
I can't see the shit. What's happening? Like,
no, remember it wasn't as bad as the Punjabi prison match where you literally couldn't see what the hell was going on.
I forgot about those matches. The best was when they what was he injured or something? When it was like Kali wasn't in the match anymore, but they just randomly subbed in Big Show. It's like, well, I'm just subbing the other giant.
Nobody cares.
It was like, well, I mean, I'd have to watch it again, but I feel like it was arguably a better match, maybe by inches.
Well,
but
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to say with Kali though, I was always impressed that he literally did not give a shit about his safety and would do stuff he had no business doing, like having Cena put him through a table, letting Cesaro giant swing him repeatedly.
Man, I don't know. I get this impression that if you're that big, having Cesaro do a giant swing probably feels great on your back.
That's probably true.
You're stretched out. It's like an inversion table, except you got the centrifugal force helping you stretch or something.
You know what I popped for in this match though? So, because I haven't seen him do it, because I don't think Fat Park can do it anymore. But he doing the sky twist press.
Yeah.
To get the second fall, I was like, yes.
That really, I remember him doing that in WCW, and that's later than this match, I think. And it's impressive seeing a big dude pull that off.
Yeah.
I was not ever going to do that.
Yeah. The third fall in this, by the way, is exactly part of the reason why I love Dr. Wagner, is because he really just shows fire. He's got good punches. He's explosive when he needs to be. I just think he's fun. I'm still just a huge Wagner fan.
That's what I said, because I think I watched this before they did. I'm like, because Park shows his ass in the third fall because Wagner just beats him mercilessly. He even starts off, he gets a piece of the stage and stabs him in the head with it, and then
there was he had a metal piece or of some sort of metal piece, and he's just
I can tell you exactly what was going through my head when he started doing that. Is in my head I started hearing, "Lawler, my eye, you bastard! Lawler, oh my eye!"
Oh my God, I'm blinded.
But what I also like with the third fall though is I love referees that know how to sell, because they bump the one referee and he kind of goes out, and then Wagner starts trying to pin him, and the ref will be like 1, 2, oh my arm, I was so hurt.
Yeah, he does the whole
because it was really good. They should have done a Rudo turn. That would have been hilarious. But
yeah,
because I was checking
after doing it the first time, I was like, okay, but I'm like, dude, switch arms. It's not like your right hand is the only one you can count with. Just switch arms, dude.
He's a one-armed referee. It's what am I gonna do?
This is my counting arm.
Well,
you know what? I almost wish they could find a one-armed guy for that, and then he gets injured, and then he's just looking around, what am I gonna do?
And then have him ref a Zach Gallen match.
He just takes his foot and he's
he just stops for it.
Yeah, just starts stomping, and then they have. I mean, that's maybe something.
Look, wait. No, we go Inception, Matt. We go Inception with it. He refs a Zach Gallen match and then takes the artificial leg and does it with
Oh, there you go.
I started
please someone forward the audio of this to Joey Janela, because I'm sure we can get him to do this on one of the future Joey Janela spring breaks.
my God.
After the second one,
it'd be an artificial limb match, wouldn't it?
After the second one, I kind of eyed him a bit. I'm like, okay, that's not Toronto, so I don't think this is gonna be Rudo nonsense. I do like that fact that people get upset about the refs sometimes, but I like the fact that there are heel refs and face refs.
To go back to something that Matt said earlier, especially on that comeback, I loved Wagner laying those punches in. Because Wagner punched like a boss. So it was like, it was the best striking that I saw out of any of these matches.
I think it was
He's got
very,
good punches.
It was very. They reminded me a bit of Barry Windham, the way the way Shad said he did it, because he kind of had that same delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what were you saying before, Brad? Sorry, Shad, that about Wyndham, like when he punched a guy, like.
If you watch how Wyndham's hand comes in, Wyndham's not hitting them with any of the bones of his hand. He's hitting with the soft portion, and he's hitting right past the jawline.
Like in here, like
he's here, and he's hitting just under the jawline. So he's not really clubbing you to death with it, but it's coming close enough that you can buy it.
That's what that's what Wagner was doing in this.
You obviously did it, so I mean, maybe with practice it comes to practice, but that'd be interesting. It's like, so if I'm like kind of pantomiming this, but it's like I'm coming in like the jaw and like I'm twisting my so
it's like how I remember Wyndham doing it is his hands back here,
right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How I remember Wyndham doing it is he comes out here, and when his fist comes in, it kind of rotates and he ends here. Like that last twist is right there.
Yeah, and if you're doing it quickly enough that no one's like gonna be like,
if it wasn't me,
that to see like, is it your knuckles hitting or
if it wasn't me, like I watch wrestlers' punches real closely because for a long time mine were so bad, so I got in this habit of watching them really closely. I was like, how do I make mine better? Until I had a conversation with Bobby Fulton about it. And Bobby Fulton, he's like, no, man, let's change this up for you. But I appreciate good wrestling punches, and to be honest with you, I get a little snooty about it because I go back and watch Austin do stuff, and I'm like, don't like those as much as a lot of other people's, and that's rough because
I felt sometimes.
That's rough because that was most of Austin's matches. Austin's matches were pedal to the floor, go, 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 except that go, go, go was punch, 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 come over here, punch, 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 go to the corner, punch, punch, punch. I'm going to act like I'm going to do a pile driver and take a back body drop. Okay, punch, punch, punch. That's press. Then you know what you do? Punch, punch, punch. And it's like the energy was insane. The guy could engage the crowd like nobody else, but it got kind of rough for me to watch.
That's an interesting question of like who had the best working punches. So I'd put like Lawler would be up there, Wyndham, Scott Hall.
Yes. I think the knock that I have on Hall's is on the follow through. Scott Hall's hand opens up. It comes in when he does it, and then when it goes past, his fingers are opened up.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's like lovingly tapping like his opponent, like
if he flipped his hand open, it'd be like, hello.
Yeah.
Let's see,
not really.
Duggan.
Duggan had them big clobbering punches.
In the infamous Lost episode that we did discussing Duggan, and his Mid-Atlantic stuff, where it's just caveman Duggan just like beating the piss out of guys. Like he just would throw some big raw bone, like fist of ham at guys, and it was good. God, for people again, if you've never seen pre-WWF Duggan, like Mid-Atlantic Duggan, different animal. Like
I got to talk to him about that.
He was a good worker, and really solid. Like,
you talked to him about the what was that? The coal miners' glove match, didn't you?
No. When I talked to him, I said, we'd been going through and watching, your Bill Watts stuff, and how much I appreciated it, and just big raw bone beating hell. And he goes, well, that's what the character I was doing at the time was. And then whenever I went to New York, it was, I didn't need to do as much, so I didn't have to, and I was able to kind of change it up and relax a little bit. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's like, I understand what you're saying, but to hear him talk about it being such a big shift is interesting.
Well, he was
I
getting
mean,
older too at that time.
well, yeah, it also it makes sense in the regards that you're in a business that you literally have to put your body on the line every night, and even a match that seems like a nothing match, you can horrifically injure yourself if you're not careful. Um, and that's very dramatic because in most matches it doesn't happen, obviously. But if you're in a match, if you're in like a company where it's like I gotta basically take bumps 100 times in this match, and now you go for a different company and they're like, why are you doing 100 bumps? We only need you to do like 25.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, okay. And then maybe
Yeah.
you have like 10 extra years on your career
Yeah,
because
and-
you're
Oh
not
yeah.
And in
beating the
the
hell out of
80s,
yourself.
in the 80s, those guys typically, when you went to WWF, you were like cashing out. Like you're gonna go get a
Yeah.
paycheck. You weren't gonna try because you didn't have to, and just make a shitload of money. That's kind of like what the allure of the WWF was at the time.
Yeah.
I
And
completely get that allure
And
too.
they were working so fucking much, like you could not, even if you wanted to try, like it would have been suicide in that
Oh,
era.
back in the day, like you absolutely had to. Like it in all kidding aside, like back in the day, like the 80s of the WWF, it's like, hey, you're gonna be working like 300 days a year. It's
And
like,
I've heard
damn
some
right, I'm only gonna
interesting-
do like 25 bumps out of 100, like versus 100. Like, yeah, if
And
I'm doing this every night,
And I've heard some interesting theories that so many of the guys in that era died because their travel schedule didn't make sense. It's not like now where you go like, okay, we're gonna go from Denver, we're gonna go to Colorado Springs, we're gonna go over here to Vegas. Like they had them going like every which way sometimes, and that's why so many of those guys died young because they were just their travel
yeah,
schedule
here.
made no sense.
even taking out like the WWF, the big promotions, like Stampede, we'd hear stories from like the Hearts or the people. It's like you got to go all across like Canada, and some of Canada it's Canada's big, and some parts are almost like desolate, and you're just like just going for days and days and days, driving through like the Maritimes, whatever like that. But even taking like the world class and some of those Texas companies, it's like my wife is from Texas. People have no idea how big Texas is. You could literally like get in a car, start from one day to Texas, drive like all day, and I don't mean like, oh, I drove like 4 hours. No, I mean you could drive like 12 hours in Texas, still be in fucking Texas.
No, literally.
Meanwhile,
literally, Texas,
I live on.
Literally, you can go far enough in Texas that the climate's different. Like if you're in Houston, it's humid, and you can go over to like Austin and San Antonio, and it's dry. Like it's like,
dry, yeah. And those aren't even that far away. They're like about a 3 to 4 hour drive from Houston, because I've done the drive. It's about, I think we did the drive from Houston to San Antonio and vice versa in like 3.5 hours. It's not that bad. Meanwhile, I live just outside of Washington D.C. If I were to get in the car within 5 hours, like I'm in New York, and even like I'm in New York City. That's just because of traffic. Like I remember, I years ago I did the wedding for a friend of the show, David Gonzalez, in Danbury, Connecticut, which is a little bit outside of like New York. It's like a little bit further north in New York. I think it was like, if I drove straight, we didn't. We stopped in like New York. But if we drove straight, it was like maybe like 6 hours, and I passed through like half a dozen states.
Yeah.
In Texas, if I drove 6 hours in Texas, I'd still. I
Just
don't
be
even,
in Texas.
I might be like I don't even know if I'd be halfway through. And guys did that back in the day. They would do like shots all around Texas, and the other part of Texas is that a lot of it. So my wife is from San Antonio, so that's near there. It's like hill country, so there's actually like some hills. It's not really mountainous. If you drive down to like Central Virginia, there's immensely more hills in Central Virginia. But in Texas, there are parts of Texas that are hill country that have some hills, not really like true mountains, whatever. A lot of Texas, flat, just flat.
Yeah.
So dudes, like in the world class days, Fritz would have them going like, here's like a town like 5 hours over, go. And like maybe they do a house, but it's like, do that schedule. Like, these guys were doing like blow every time
Yeah.
they had a chance, because they're just like, let's drive on through the night to go to these towns, and I don't know. The schedule was a mess.
That was a story I remembered from one of the. It might have been a Cornette one that when they worked for Watts, they worked 7 nights a week, and so they're going all the time, and cars breaking down, and nobody's getting any time off to rest and that sort of stuff. Like, this is a business. We're making money. Damn it, get there. And they're all just like dying. And all I can think is, God, man, that's got to be exhausting. You know, just absolutely killing you, with no time to rest up if you have a nagging injury. You know, oh, your car broke down. What do? We'll go buy another one. You don't pay me enough to buy another one. I think that was a joke that somebody said. I don't know if it was Jerry Jarrett or something, but he was like, you guys being on all this junk, getting you all blown up and stuff, and they looked at him and said, Jerry, what you're paying us, we can barely be on food.
I know Cornette said once that, especially in the South, like, he said the really nice fans would just slash your tires. He said the real pricks wouldn't slash your tires, they'd stab your tires, so you'd go flat on the highway.
Yeah, on the interstate.
And there was a story he was telling, like, I think they were still, it was with Dennis Condrey. They were getting chased by some guys in a truck, and he says Dennis Condrey reaches under the seat and pulls out this big gun and, like, starts waving it at them.
He said, like, the biggest pistol he's ever seen, and racks it, and you see the other cars start swerving as they back off. So, you know, it's like, man, I know some people get real romantic for the territory days, but there's a bunch of stuff for that I'll look at, and I'm like, kind of on the side of life is probably better for the guys right now.
Yeah, there's a funny story. I think Crime and Sports did one on Dick Slater, and they got off on the side tangent of, like, Dick Murdoch. And he's like, he told Dusty they were going to go to some party, and it ends up being like a Klan rally. And he's like, Dickie, I can't go to no Klan rally. I'm the American Dream, baby.
Yeah. Something like that.
Because they were talking about how he was like an agent for the WWE, because he was like a Coors rep, so he could get him free beer. And they had to fire him because he was just getting the boys so shit-faced, like, every night because he could get him free beer.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just remember like I can't go to no Klan rally, baby. So, yeah, I would say Wagner has good punches. Like I said, they did this feud, like, everywhere. Because he was kind of, I don't think he really left CMLL to, like, the 10s, maybe. Because he was kind of like a CMLL fixture for a long time.
I don't think we ever saw Wagner in, like, WCW, did we?
No.
Like, I know he wasn't, like, a regular, but I didn't know that we even saw him.
I don't think he would have,
or something like.
I don't think he would have fit because he was too big for what they wanted.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of.
And he didn't really fly. He wasn't really a flyer either.
Yeah, I mean, his brother was Silver King was more of a flyer, and I don't know that he was that much bigger than Silver King. I mean, he's built, like,
he's taller.
Even now, like even now in, like, his late 50s, he's still, like, in pretty good shape, especially for his age.
He's a lot taller though. I think because the thing is, like, even, like, I get why they strained credibility with, like, La Parka, because La Parka had, like,
oh, La Parka's tall. How tall? Let me look that up.
Because I even said that thing that was, like, because, like, La Parka, people forget, was over in WCW. Like, I sent you the gif where, like, he just takes everyone out with a chair and, like, marches away with a chair. Like, he got a huge pop for that on that event.
La Parka was huge over.
Oh yeah. La Parka, aka LA Park, is 6'1". But that kind of emphasizes he looks like he towers over a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be honest. If you're Eric Bischoff, I don't know how crazy he was back in the day, but, like, if he's coming in, you're probably pretty sure he has a gun in his boot. At least a gun.
That's the thing. We saw 2 LA Park matches here, One of which he was at least like a face, and it's just funny like when they're brawling in the crowd, like you said, like Dr. Wagner is like shooing away like an old woman. It's like, no, you don't. The old like woman, like you don't understand. Like L.A. Park would have no problems like punching this old woman in the face. He's a character. Like in real life,
Yeah,
he's a character.
Yeah.
Like, L.A. Park's gun show doesn't have any safeties.
No,
because like, Shadow's like, they
I
really
love
know how
L.A.
to-
Park. I'm not disparaging.
No, and the fact that he's like, he's still a good worker even though he's like fat as shit. But like, no, he's legit like crazy. But no, Shadow's like, wow, the fans really know how to get out of the way. I'm like, well, because people go flying, and they also might punch you in the face if you don't get out of the way.
I mean, I've seen the gif of a fan who pulls on LaParca's mask and then just gets cold cocked for it. But
I mean, that guy learned his lesson.
Yeah.
I mean, LA Park is a problem. So our final
LA Park has the potential to be an everyone problem.
Yeah. So our final match, I actually picked the wrong Mistico Averno match because the one I was looking for was actually from 2005, which, so if you don't know, like kind of their matches are a big reason, I would say CMLL started getting some heat over here and like some smarks were starting to watch CMLL more. Because they had a back and forth like feud in like 2005 where like the matches were really good. Because if you had satellite, so I could watch CMLL on the day because like I had the Fox Sports Deportes, which they were on, and then they were on Galavision until
Vision. Yes, I didn't have satellite, but I had a cable package that offered Galavision. I think they had Univision, but I didn't really watch much of it. One of the Spanish channels, maybe sometimes like Sábado Grande, like the comedy show that they would do. But I would watch like CMLL and occasionally Triple. But yeah, I feel, I don't know, maybe I like had stopped watching like some of this consistently, like because I didn't see a lot of like.
Well, right before
Mystico's like rise.
Because before Mystico and like Averno kind of took Roth, who's like old as fuck. And
Pierroth.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hated him. He was
and it's Pirata Morgan, who's old as fuck. Like he still was active in this time because he took part in the feud. But like Universo dos Años, who was just god awful.
God, and he was old then. I feel he was probably like 50 then.
Yeah.
Averno, I became kind of like my first exposure to Averno when Averno was teaming with Mephisto.
Yeah.
And they were like they're part of a trios. They were like these subordinates for El Satanico, and it's like I saw that I'm like, dude, you got like two pretty good like young luchadors, Averno, Mephisto, and it's like you're like the lackeys for El Satanico, who's probably at the time I was watching was at 50, and it's like, what are you doing, this like fat old man? Like, come on,
they broke off
from him
pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, Averno still had his mask. Mephisto, I think, had the cooler mask. He had spikes coming in.
I think Mephisto still has his mask. But yeah, so this is kind of like when like that match kind of revitalized things. It's really good. This match is really good too, though. But so my favorite part of this is just what a little bitch Averno is, because there's a point where it's the second fall, and he runs and hides behind one of the ring girls, and so Mystico gets back in the ring, and as soon as he turns his back, like Averno comes running up the entrance ramp and just blindsides him. Like, oh, what a little bitch ass move! I love it.
Yeah. What a heel. He starts off the match by like coming down and kicking Kemanito. It's like, how dare you? How dare you kick him?
That's the best gif ever. That time they just like boot him off the apron.
Oh yeah. And Chad, you know who I'm talking about, right?
The little monkey guy.
Okay.
The monkey!
Yeah. Kemanito is a legit like
celebrity.
Yeah, midget wrestler, but
he's like He's like
little
a
person.
he's like a talk show circuit like celebrity though.
A mini, yeah. But he is. Oh, the real life, like the guy's like he's older. He's like 60 now or something. But he's become like at least in Mexican pop culture,
He's like an
like
icon.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been the CMLL mascot for like decades at this point.
As long as I've
But
ever
he dresses
watched,
in a
he's
little like
been-
blue furred monkey costume. And he's a thing. Like he's an actual thing. And Averno kicked him, and it's like, how dare you? Like, it's like kicking a puppy, practically. It's like,
Yeah.
what a heel move.
For years, burned into my memory from, and this was like 300 episodes ago or something, but the Best of Botchamania one had that spot where someone leaned over the top rope and bonked him on the head and then did a baseball slide and just, I mean, he just did a gainer off the apron.
I think that might have been
spot.
Lizmark that did that to him.
Oh,
I still use that gif sometimes just because it's hilarious. He gets abused a lot though, but yeah, he's like, I mean, outside of wrestling, like I said, he's like, he does like a lot of talk shows and stuff. I don't know who he would be comparable to here, because I think, because like, it'd be kind of an anachronism here because I think he would be like someone that was like big on the Tonight Show and like stuff like that back in the day.
Kind of like a running gag that would show up on Conan or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's a big deal. Like he even has a Wikipedia page.
yeah.
But they both rip at their masks on this one. Averno's practically unmasked because like Mistico got a little rambunctious on that one.
Yeah.
I kind of wrote in my notes, like in the first couple matches, like if you weren't like really familiar with Mistico, like this, I feel is kind of like a good screenshot as to why, in part, he got so over. Like he has charisma, so it's like it's not like obviously like he has charisma. He's got a good look. He's certainly in good shape. He's still in good shape. Like this is now it's almost like 20 years since, but he's still in good shape. But just the fact like how damn aerobatic he was and like some of the moves he did. Chad, I don't know if you appreciate this, being like a little less familiar with Lucha, but like he would do some stuff and it's almost like you are like he like take a spot, like jump in the air and it's almost like he's like suspended in the air for a second.
Yeah. He just kind of
then
floats
come down,
there.
do like an arm drag, and it's like, damn, like that. Even for like Lucha, which incredibly aerobatic guys who know how to do, still made it look cool somehow. It almost like new, even though it's the same spot you've seen at Lucha 1,000 times. But you're still making it almost seem because you're almost like air, and it's like, damn, like this guy has something a little bit extra special about him.
I wondered about that because my thought was there's no way that he's jumping up there and it's taking that long for his upward momentum to turn into, accelerating towards the earth. And I wondered, I wonder how much of that is the camera angle they use. Like, if you did it from a different camera angle, is he staying, like, even as he goes and then goes down? Which you would get if it was, like, dead on. You'd be kind of getting that. And it's still cool. But I was trying to figure that out.
I kind of feel like to practice or whatever, I feel like he probably just was really good at timing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really comfortable and good at timing. Like, I'm going to do this move, and I can time, like, when the peak of my, like, because he doesn't move, like, he springs forwards off, like, the ropes.
Yeah.
I feel like he must have been really good at judging. It's like, I know where my peak's going to be. It's like, when my peak is there, I'm going to, like, you could do something subtle where it's like, like you do, like, let's say you do, like, an acai moonsault.
Yeah.
When you've, like, probably reached your peak. And at that point, you can just do something flare. It's like, now I'm going to, like, maybe I'm doing it. And then when I hit my peak, I'm going to be like, pull my arms out. And then it, like, visually, it looks like right at the peak, you're, like, now doing it. So everyone's, like, focused. Almost like a trick of the eye, like, sleight of hand type of thing. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't think it was quite camera angles. I think he may have been just really skilled at knowing when to do some movement with his body that accentuated the height and then coming down and things like that. But his timing was also really good because he would know exactly the right time when he's coming down. It's like I'm on my ascent, and it's like, okay, right now is when I'm going to do the arm, like throwing a guy like to the as I'm coming down. Now I'm going to hook his arm. I'm coming down. He's gonna do his part and flip over with the arm drag, things like that. I think and this is like this again, talking about the technical aspects of stuff. This is like the higher level where you can do something very simple, but if you're doing it in a way that you know the timing of it and the timing is impeccable, like that puts you on a different level than other people. Like where you are doing it really good, really well, really. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to accentuate your point. The body control that you have to do some of that stuff is also pretty wild. You know, to go into a moonsault and then hit a certain point and extend into it or something like that's a level of body control that I never got anywhere near even jumping on the trampoline in our backyard. Right? The closest I ever got to that was you get one of those high bounces and you get up there and then you're like, oh, wait, you've got to do the swanton, you have to like arch back and then tuck in. And there were times I felt like I did that right, but I'm sure that if someone was watching me, you just went up and then kind of flipped over, dude. Like, you know, that's not what actually happened. I don't know. I am very impressed by it. I feel like I've turned into how Brad describes Japanese fans, as I sit there and I'm watching very intently because I'm paying attention to everything. It's like, oh, big moves, time to cheer, and I'm like, what's he doing next? Like I'm not going up and down with the crowd, and I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
What did you guys think of the referee cam for this match? The beeping was very distracting.
Yeah.
So I was watching this because I didn't get a chance to watch everything. I was watching the last bit of it for the show, like during the dinner hour, and my kids were like, they're like eating dinner. My wife was like sitting on the couch next to them, and I'm watching it from like the kitchen, like on my phone, and it starts doing like the beeping things, and my wife got freaked out. She's like, what's that beeping noise? Like, what's happening? She thought that something horrible was happening. Yeah. Like appliances had suddenly started breaking, or there was, a truck outside or something.
Yeah, it was throwing me
weird.
too.
Yeah. It was weird. Like it seemed like one of those things that
I was like, my computer broke? Like what the fuck?
Yeah. It seemed like one of those gimmicks, like in the aughts or whatever, that it's like, oh, we did the cam that they thought was like cool and different, but it just didn't really add anything, in my opinion. So
they don't do it anymore. I think. I mean, it's an experiment, I guess. Go for it.
I think the best alternate camera angle that, for a long time, the best alternate camera angle was the Lucha Underground overhead middle of the ring camera.
Yeah.
But they didn't. It was like, big spot. All right, cut to that one. Okay, that's a cool visual. Now cut away from it. They didn't stay there too long.
I kind of feel like, I don't know. You shouldn't get too complicated with like wrestling presentation.
No, because you're gonna lose people doing it that way.
Because I feel like like WWE, when they were getting really heavy in the jump cuts and like the wiggle cam and stuff, they were turning people off. But like they've shockingly resisted the temptation of like getting too gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've always been the better for that.
Yeah, like they've gotten into. Oh, okay. One of the best things that's happened is after the takeover getting rid of Kevin Dunn was like a godsend, because now they're doing experimenting with like long tracking shots and stuff like that. Um, which, even if I don't watch the product, I appreciate that. Um, and AEW started doing like the crane camera shots,
Yeah,
because there was
AEW's done a lot to because I feel like part of the problem AEW was having till this year was their production got really stagnant, but they've been experimenting with like camera shots and stuff. Like I like which WWE never I think has started doing more, but like New Japan did a lot. Like when guys do entrances, like showing them from behind as they're coming out, or like doing like the camera kind of looking up towards them a bit when they're coming out, stuff like that. Like doing
yeah.
some experiments with it. Like um, AEW's starting to get away from they were too stuck in I would say like that WWE look that they're kind of starting to get away from a bit.
They're doing different things, and I think that they're the ones that pushed the new WWE videography to start doing different things. Like there was, I can't remember what it was. There was a not long ago there was a match that the Bucks were in, and they did this one long uncut shot where Nick Jackson did like 8 things in a sequence, and it was just fantastic because there weren't jump cuts all the time. You got to see how he strung it together, how everybody was so damn professional, getting in the right place at the right time. It was great.
I think they should have stuck with like because when they started and they got away from it, and I don't know why they did it. Is like they used the WCW long shot of the ring that WWE never used, and I never understood why they stopped doing that because I always thought that like was really good for them having their own identity.
I don't know. I would wonder if there was maybe some technical reason behind it that we're not aware of, but I don't know.
I also like with CMLL just as a side note. They have it has a very true sports presentation. Like when you watch CMLL, and I mean I think it's probably because the promoters are primarily boxing promoters, and this is the side gig. Like CMLL
Hmm.
always kind of comes across more like boxing in how they present it.
Yeah.
There is kind of a almost like a real sports feel to it, um, which is ironic because again, like the Arena Mexico does exceptionally well, like every week, sometimes selling out,
Well,
and
that's why they bought AAA because like they were um, because CMLL's gotten hot again. They were starting to outdraw SmackDown on Fridays.
yeah, uh, but CMLL, uh, part of their actually live attendance in Arena Mexico is actually just like casual fans, and by casual, I'm gonna say casual fans, like it's like tourists, like will show up and be like, because they'll promote it. It's like, hey, you want to go see a Lucha Libre show thing, or it's like you're on vacationing in Mexico. It's like, yeah, I'm free Friday night. Like let me go. Like I'm on vacation. Let me go to Lucha. They have a great time because well, it's good, but I mean it's also a spectacle. So, but I mean it's spectacle in the sense not well, UFC is kind of like a weird, but like imagine like you go to CMLL and you go ask colorful man. It's like doing acrobatic stuff. You see ring girls sometimes holding up, oh, it's the third fall, whatever, like that. Like it's become a thing.
I
But
actually UFC's. So I've been to MMA. I went to WEC, but it's the same thing. It was owned by UFC at the time. The problem when you go to UFC is you just sit around forever because they have to set up for the fights and stuff. So they have to set everything up. So like you might go through all that, go through all the ring entrances and stuff. Some motherfucker might get knocked out in 20 seconds, and you have to go back into the weight queue for the next match to go because they have to set everything up. They have to clean the ring out and
yeah,
all that stuff. So like, I went once and I had fun, but I don't think I'd go again because you're there forever, and like a lot of it's just sitting there with nothing to do. I don't know if they've gotten better. This has been like 15 years, but I don't know if they've gotten better at like entertaining people like between fights. But I just remember like sitting there forever because like there's nothing you can do about it because you have to reset. Like you have to get the people set up, the judges like switched over,
and you have to clean things up in order to meet your athletic commission guidelines because they want to do things like, hey, you need a clean mat so people don't get staph from it or something.
Yeah. So that's I still enjoy UFC. I wouldn't go live again just because it's too much dead time for me.
I don't know, man. I got out of UFC stuff at some point when it just seemed like I don't know what exactly it was, but it just kind of quit being fun for me to watch.
I got out of it when they added the extra weight classes and they added the women. And it just felt like it was too much to keep up with and know who the fighters were.
Okay, I'm sorry. I lied. I remember the moment that killed it for me. It was that run where Randy Couture came back, and I can't remember if it was he might have been fighting Arlovsky.
Oh, it was Tim Silva when Tim Silva was the heavyweight champion and his fights were just awful.
No, because this wasn't for the championship. But so there's this spot where guys got a hold of Couture around the waist. Like Couture's bent forward, guys got a hold of him around the waist, and the rule was that if the other person has 3 points of contact with the mat, you can't strike them, right? Because it's to protect people from getting Mark Coleman and kneed in the head repeated. And what happens is that Couture, and this was smart strategy on his part, but what he does is he goes up on his toes and his fingertips and start just lifting 1 foot, 1 hand, whatever, away from the cage, because then the other guy can't engage with that. And I looked at it and I went, we have crossed over from this being like a competition of style to now this is a sport where rules exploits are part of it.
I blame that on the ref, though. The ref should just be like, no, we're not doing that shit. Like, stand up.
Well, because it was technically part of the rules, and it was a rules exploit, and I was just like, you know what, I've checked out.
I'll tell you though, if you start watching now, you'll feel right at home because Herb Dean's still there, still letting guys get destroyed like after they're knocked out. Because I think it was him, like a fight last year I was watching. This guy like knocked the guy out. He's clearly out and he's punched him. He's looking at the ref like, can I stop punching him, please? And he's like, okay, well, I'll just keep punching him. And then he finally stopped it. But it's bad. Like, because you see that more than you should sometimes, where the guy will just be like, can I, like, please, like, he's out. Can I just call it?
Yeah. I remember, I can't remember how I got to watching it, but there was a story about early UFC when Big John McCarthy was, before he became the ref, he was in the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu stuff, and he was signing up. He was going to go fight, and they're like, no, you can't do that. Go be a ref. Yeah, they'd love you to be a ref. Go do that. And I was like, because what would that have been? That would have been another commercial for their BJJ school, right? Like, look at this big dude doing it. How cool is that? But they're like, no, you can't do that. You're so much bigger than Hoyce is. Just like, shit.
If the fight wasn't so god awful, I would love to do the Sakuraba fucking knocking Hoyce's head off. But that fight is fucking awful.
It's just kind of Sakuraba running him around, or kind of moving around him, right?
Well, because Hoyce is such a fucking bitch. Like, if he thinks he's gonna lose, he just turtles.
Yeah.
And it's not fun to watch.
It's not fun, but he just exposed him.
Oh,
and so
he wrecked that
it's
whole
kind of
family.
it's kind of historically relevant in that respect.
Well, I think
And if you don't
Gracie
like
Hunter.
if you don't like the Gracies, then it's very like
I actually think
which I
Chemo.
don't.
I actually
So
think Chemo exposed him more
Oh wow.
because Chemo, if Chemo had shaved his man bun off, he probably would have won. Because what the Chemo fight exposed was like, this guy isn't that good. He's just really strong and has good balance, and Hoist doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and somewhere it was a 20-minute fight with no round breaks, and somewhere around minute 8, Hoist is trying to grapple him up, and Chemo just takes one of those big old Chemo Leopoldo hands and wraps it up in the right on the thigh of Gracie's gi. And it keeps Gracie from moving Chemo around much. And it takes 12 more minutes of just laying on the mat. And I'm like, God, I was impressed with the grip strength to do that long. And then after the match, Gracie's like, I'm too tired, I'm out.
Yeah, because he would have lost.
What the hell, man?
Because he would have lost to the next one. Because he
Yeah.
did get it. Because the thing is, Chemo wasn't a great fighter. Chemo just was strong and could was strong enough and had the balance to counteract Hoist doing stuff.
It's like the Chemo Shamrock fight was much more interesting. I'm not going to say, Chemo didn't have the best showing in the world, but it was a much more interesting fight, and Chemo also had less to go off of because Shamrock wore tights, there wasn't anything to get a hold of.
Well, yeah, because Hoist disappeared once, like, promotions were like, we're not doing this gi bullshit anymore.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, the whole you can't wear your special gear unless it's a BJJ gi, and everybody else is like, "What the hell?"
Well, the UFC we fought, I don't remember exactly, but I know the gi came into things a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using it to choke people out too. That was the other thing I remember.
Yeah. Well, because there's certain gi chokes that you can do that with.
But I think he got out of like a grapple though, where the guy like didn't get a good hold on him because the gi was interfering. But yeah, that's our quarterly shit on Hoist Gracie. I just when we watched UFC 1, I was just like, because even stuff he did like headbutting guys in the back of the head and stuff, I'm just like, God, you're just kind of a fucking bitch, dude.
Yeah, you're a dick.
You know what we should do, because it's a hilarious fight, watching Matt Hughes just destroy him.
Matt Hughes being so damn big and strong.
Yeah. Because
this is pretty far afield from Lucha, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we got into the boxing thing, because that's the thing. That's the interesting part. I think WWE is going to struggle with is CMLL's so much bigger and like more. I think has more pop culture penetration than AAA, but they're not the primary moneymaker for that group. Like, they're the side. And CMLL is also the oldest wrestling promotion in the world.
CMLL is a traditional loose motion, no matter what Paul Levesque says.
And they own that arena.
Yeah.
They own, I think 4 or 5 arenas.
Yeah.
It's not just one. Like, they own actually multiple buildings. So.
And the thing too is, they're battle tested. Like, they're not like some territory that sat around there for, 80 years with no competition. Like, they buried the UWA. They weathered AAA coming in hot and heavy. So they're a battle tested company. Like, they're not going to be an easy out for them.
Well, even people who would know, like Lucha Blog, have kind of like actually written like in recent times, like last 2 weeks. They've written long pieces where it's like they're trying, WWE TKO is trying to edge into the market because, again, for a company that says like, oh, what competition, like acting like AEW and other promotions don't exist, they are terrified of AEW, and they saw this all kind of like started after is doing the Grand Slam Mexico show, which I think it's like, how many tickets have they sold? Like over, I think like over 10,000 maybe. I can look this up, but they're doing a show in Mexico.
It's sold
which
stupid. Is like, it sold stupid amounts of tickets like instantly.
Yeah, and they're doing it's basically a joint show with CMLL because Tony Khan has basically a working relationship with CMLL in Japan. So it's kind of, not that it's like a forbidden show, a forbidden door type of show, but kind of. Looking to see. Well, it's happening on June 18th, so it's coming up actually just a little bit over a week. It's not this week Dynamite, but it's the following week's Dynamite. Let me try and see ticket sales, but they were shook by that. WWE was shook, so they bought they didn't buy like the whole interest, but I think they bought like a controlling, like a 51% interest in AAA. But people like Lucha Blog, to go back to what I was saying, he's written about how that essentially, like, it's probably going to be that maybe Worlds Collide, which I think was in California, right? It wasn't even in Mexico.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I don't think it was in Mexico, but he was saying that it's probably likely that TKO WWE is actually going to be running these shows. Like maybe not the show in the United States, but if they actually are trying to run AAA in Mexico, potentially they may be running this at a loss. And so it's a question. It's like, well, how much are you going to actually deal with running a subsidiary company at a?
Well, I think the problem. I think there's some issues devoid of WWE too, because like they bought really like AAA is in the toilet.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even be shocked. I know their shows weren't drawing shit. Like I wouldn't be shocked if IWRG was outdrawing them on some shows at this point. Because like even if they had bought them during COVID, it would have been a far better purchase at the time.
This is the time where we invoke the Conan Kazoo.
Yeah, because I don't even think because the other problem I have is like some of the guys that they used on the show that like got good reactions, like Psycho Clown, I don't think are contracted to AAA anymore.
No, that was the
Psycho
thing.
Clown came back.
Yeah,
because he's shopping for that WWE money.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like when the WWE bought majority interest in AAA, I think AAA had like
13 talents.
Yeah, they had like a dozen guys under contract. So, like actual contracts, not just like they're freelancing. And obviously they could have offered deals to more people. And going forward, it's like, oh, they're going to try and they're going to try and headhunt CMLL talent. They even said that there's even that they're going to be paying close attention to like AEW Grand Slam Mexico. It's like really, really good talent on that show. They're going to offer contracts to them. Like do the same thing they did with poaching Stephanie Vacker after Forbidden Door last year. She had a match with Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door, and they immediately snatched her up. And she went with them because that was her dream, even though it's already been established that Tony Khan offered her like money. To the point where she's like telling in interviews, she's like, "Oh yeah, I cried because like it was so much money I got offered by Tony Khan, but I wasn't gonna take it because my dream WWE." And it's like, you know what? Look, again, I talked earlier in the episode about how I view wrestling as like art form. So maybe this is me like appreciating the art form. So I appreciate, I love the artist, the wrestler who's an artist, like loving your. So I appreciate that. That's where I'm coming from. But at the same time, it is all like you have to have a little bit of Kevin Nash, where it's like you'd be a fucking mark for yourself, like it's
Yeah.
business. Like,
Yeah.
don't be like, but that's the thing about AEW. AEW is like you can actually still work these and other promotions, and still get a nice big paycheck from Tony Khan. So you don't have to be like, oh, I guess I'll take like 60,000 for WWE and be in NXT because that's my dream. I want my WrestleMania moment. You can get like fucking 250 to 500,000 for Tony Khan. Work like 50 dates a year maybe, just with AEW, and then be like, oh, I'm also gonna do like the G1 in New Japan.
Yeah,
Or
because
shit like
the
that.
thing is, like, if you do well, WWE's still going to be there, and they're going to offer you more money. So you might, like, that's where I think Vakir was dumb, is she played it
Yeah.
terribly. She played it
Yeah.
in such a way to get the least, like, she even, like, the way she approached it, they probably even offered her less money. Like Mariah May, like, played it well because she upped her stock and proved herself, and like came in like with much more leverage than she would have originally. But I think it's stupid. Like, you should always, unless it's like a small amount of money and it's just a preference thing, you should always take the money. Like, if
the figure that I heard bandied about.
I don't know if
First
I
of
believe
all,
that with the Mariah
well,
May thing.
The first thing is that there's another money difference between AEW and WWE. WWE, you're still booking your own travel and accommodations. AEW, that's handled for you.
You do get the
So-
merch though, but I know that WWE's been kind of whittling away at like your
Yeah.
your
Well,
chunk of
it's
stuff
the
for
merch
a
is
while.
not a bonus anymore. The merch contributes to your bottom line.
Oh, yeah,
and
I
then
just
if you
remembered.
pass it, then you're getting more. But you have to get up to that point. And then supposedly the thing going around was that Khan offered Mariah high six figures, and supposedly she took 225 to go to WWE.
I don't
And I'm like,
know if I believe that, because she would be,
Oh,
because she played
I
it.
can absolutely.
The
absolutely
reason I don't though is because she played it smart up until that point, so I don't believe she would fumble at the finish line.
Oh, I can absolutely believe it. In that 225 is her like cashing out versus Stephanie Vacker, who is probably like, oh, we can give you like maybe 100,000, and it's like, I can believe that, especially because you're hearing stories right now of TKO going, why are we paying Roman Reigns so much? He does like 10 days a year. Like, let's renegotiate that contract. It's like, again,
Are
I'm
they
down.
wrong?
I'm down the.
Are they wrong though?
Well, yes and no. Like, no, because yes, is he getting paid like vastly amounts more than he's worth considering the output?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's like, okay, do like, well, they don't do like 300 dates a year, but let's say they do. Be like, they go to him and be like, you need to do 100 dates a year versus like the dozen you do. Okay, but
I would just set him up
so
on
that's not wrong. But at the same time, it's like I can argue like it shouldn't be this case. The bloodline actually is bad and sucked and was never as good as his fans say that it is, but it did make them money. So you could be like, I could say like it's creatively dog shit, but it made them money. So I would say like it's wrong in the sense like the guy who actually made you a lot of money. I think you're technically correct, and it's like you're working like 12 dates a year. Like you need to do more
this is
for
the
the amount of
problem.
money
Like,
we're paying you.
but like
but
when you get into
only
like
if
the
it's
Hulk
right.
Hogan thing though with WCW, it turns into a problem at a point though.
Oh, but that was probably more than anything. That's what fucking killed WCW. Like that contract. And I've if you listen to other podcasts or other shows like the Last Fan, who actually went into detail back in the day about the contract. Like if you listen to the contract, the details of the contract, it's like Eric. People still hype up Eric Bischoff. It's like you were like Eric Bischoff. You're the dumbest fucking person.
there's a good
The
flagship.
fact that you signed this contract back in the day, thinking it was a win, it's like you were always gonna fuck this company over
Well,
because
if you
in
go back a couple
'94
weeks,
you signed a contract that was gonna bite you in the ass. Like
it,
it was the dumbest contract.
the flagship podcast talked about like the whole Kiss thing and how dumb he was and how they just raked him over the coals.
Yeah.
And they got like nothing out of it. Like, but I think there's a point though.
Kiss Demon.
But I think there's a point though where if you're TK though, it's like okay, like he's obviously valuable, but he's working 10 dates a year. What are we actually getting off of that? Like I think there's a point to say like, well, let's like renegotiate. We'll give him good money, but let's pay him per appearance versus like giving him like a shit ton of money for not showing up to work. Like I think there's a logic to that.
No, I mean I agree. I'm kind of defending him in the sense that it's like I can say creatively, this shouldn't have you shouldn't have made as much money through this awful storyline, and I don't think Roman's really that good. I think he at one point was fine working at the WWE main event, and then regressed immensely. But okay, you were successful with him, so I can give him some credit. It's like, come on, like you're trying to screw over this guy who made you a lot of money. But I also agree with you, Brad. It's like, if I'm a company, it's like, you're showing up like 12 times a year. Why am I paying you like $10 million? Like that's bullshit.
And I also think you have to look at it too, like objectively. I don't know what you can do with him to justify his contract anymore because like I think because like you kind of saw it in the lead up to Mania, like he really just I don't know what happened, like he just kind of like he lost his luster after.
But he doesn't need to. Well, it doesn't. Again, like it doesn't help him that I've read interviews that he's given where he has said like, oh yeah, like I'm hoping to retire in like 2-3. It's like, what, your arduous schedule working like 12 days a year? Like, but he's basically, I mean, I don't know that he's yet, but I think he's getting closer to that. He's like, oh yeah, he's like he's already like, I mean, he is a part-timer, but he's also like, winding up that career, guys. And it's like,
part-timer's generous.
Yeah, so he's not helping himself when he's like trying to I'm gonna wind down my career. It's like you're not working like 300 days a year now. That he'd be like a couple of years I hope to like end this. It's like come on, but look, yeah. I agree with you, Brad. It's like what are you gonna do to justify the contract we're giving you? Even if you're like I'm gonna work every show. Yeah, you would need to be doing. He would need to be doing like 100 days, 200 days, like to really crank it out to be like okay. But what are you gonna do with him? Like you had him as the only champion. Sorry to cut you off, Shad. For like 3 years straight. Like what are you gonna do for that? Like
yeah, it's that you have this like you said. Is he getting overpaid for what he's doing? Yeah. But then on the other hand, if you go and try and hardball him, he's just going to leave. And you're going to lose on one of the only draws you have for your fan base right now. Because they're going to be like, well, what happened to him? He's not here any, he doesn't show up at all now. And nobody talks about him or anything like that. It's like, is this really what you want to do? Is this the smart thing to do?
Well, I
submit it is not, but that's the problem when you only look at numbers for your decision making.
I think a certain booker might be on his way out based on like the way some things got out because like the way they described the Ron killings, like getting him re-signed after the backlash, it sounds like he got sat in the corner and Nick Khan like smoothed things over and got that taken care of.
Nick Khan had to step in and do the negotiations.
Yeah.
It's all part of the show, guys.
Yeah.
Show.
Yeah.
And
Paul Levesque not being being there anymore is also going to be a fun part of the show.
And
somebody call Jerry Jarrett.
And like the Nick Khan thing leaking out, that wouldn't have happened like a year ago. Like he got totally thrown under the bus for like botching that, because they were like he couldn't get it done, so Nick Khan had to like negotiate like a new contract with him.
I have a theory. It's a personal, you can call it conspiracy theory, but I have a theory in that, look, they will never admit this. They'll deny it till they're blue in the face. But if you look, the ratings since the beginning of the year, we're now almost halfway through the year. We're in June. But since January to now, the numbers for Raw are like I think they just hit their lowest ever like a week or two ago. And it's like 2.6, 2.5. But that's not weekly. It's not weekly American. It's weekly worldwide. Like the entire world through Netflix has only watched like 2.5 million. There's like 7 billion people.
Well, and that's kind of the other caveat that I wish that never gets brought up. And I wish Dave would talk about that more, but the views don't necessarily matter. It's the watch hours, because if you just like clicked on for 5 seconds, that's a view. So like the watch hours are what is important overall for them. And
Dave,
but no one talks about that because we don't have access to that.
Well, but a little bit of that has come out, and the watch hours are down too. Like there is a small core that does watch, but the 2.6 million people or whatever watching worldwide, the watch hours, they're not commensurate. So it's not like it's a 3-hour Raw show, so 2.6 times like 3 hours, like the watch hours. Like it's not that. It's much lower. So even like 2.6, it's like there's some people who maybe they're watching like 30 minutes and they're not.
Or it's someone going back
but,
to rewatch like something.
Oh, but if you listen to Dave Meltzer, it's like, oh, they're so hot right now. They like start going down like attendance wise. It's like, well, actually, Dave, their attendance has started to take down.
The problem with Dave, and I'm going to defend Dave on this, I think Dave's just being too black and white about it, because Dave is correct in some of his assessment, but where his assessment is off is like, and I've talked about this, like we're in inertia right now. They're not hot anymore, but inertia is going to carry them for a while. Like I would expect that. I would expect 2025 will look good when it's all said and done, because inertia is going to carry them that long. And you never know. It usually doesn't happen in wrestling, I'm going to be honest. But like they might catch something hot again, and it'll keep going. But like when WCW died, like when I would say WCW stopped being hot was like April of 1998, I think is when they stopped being hot. But inertia carried them to May of the next year, because they had Goldberg. But then they were like, so he carried them, but like the promotion had cooled off, but like inertia carried them, because it takes a while for people drop off at different intervals. Yeah. So like I've always been quick to say like, hey, this isn't very good anymore. And some people are slower, like kind of like with AEW. Like AEW had, I think, a slower inertia phase, but they did have an inertia phase too. And now you can see them, like you could see them last year kind of starting to get things together, and now you're seeing the metrics start to catch up with things. But so, yeah, like Meltzer's right in that aspect. Like I don't expect them to be like looking like they're in trouble for another, no, I wouldn't say a year. I would say maybe about a year, because I would say they'll get to the end of the year and they're going to start slowing down, but then the Rumble's always there to kind of spark them again. But the truth be told, like Mania season didn't really spark them well this year because it was so bad.
Didn't spark them, and the attendance was lower than it should have been. And part of that is because the pricing has been insane. They had a lower attendance, but they're doing Vegas again this year. They screwed over New Orleans because they made like so much money.
You can get whales because the thing with doing Vegas is like you can get cheap accommodations, and the flights are real easy, so like you can get your fucking whales there to. But see, I don't understand their pricing. So where I've never understood their pricing is they're matching UFC pricing, but the difference is like there's a benefit to going to a UFC event. Like there's clout, like you look like there's a certain fan base, you look cool to that fan base. Like, you know, I mean, if you're WWE, like, I'm sorry, the president of the United States is not going to show up to your event, so you can't price like UFC.
No. Look, they are at a point now. They've already reached it, in my opinion, but they're at a point now where they've priced out like the average.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The average family, and
yeah,
because I've done 3 manias. I was supposed to do a 4th, but it fell through. But I did 3 manias. I did it with the Observer group, but I also did it with friends of the show because they're my real life good friends, Damien, the Dames, and Chris DiPetrillo, aka Zach Malibu. I did all 3 manias. I did with them, and I love those guys. They're great guys. And I remember when we went, we would pay a certain amount of money. And since the last time that I did last Mania I did within it was like what, Mania 35, like
you did
2019.
The Batista Triple H one, I think, was the last one you did.
My wife went with me from that Mania. She was pregnant with this daughter. Oldest daughter is now like 5.5. So it's been quite some time since Mania, and we all went. And this year, she asked me. My wife asked me like early in the year. She's like, "Oh, or like," because we weren't doing Mania, but she was like, "Oh, like, you know, are any of your friends like doing Mania again?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Oh, why not?" And it's like, it's too fucking expensive. Like people actually priced like going to Vegas, and I understand like if they did like, well, now they're doing Vegas next year, it's out of the question. But if they did, because Damien and Chris, like me, are on. If they did Mania on the East Coast again, I mean, they were in theory going to do Mania in New Orleans. It's like that's kind of on the East, but she was asking like, "Oh, are your friends doing Mania?" I'm like, "No, it's expensive." Like, because they've already priced it. Because Chris, I was talking with Damien for this past year's 2025 Mania. Like, "Oh, are you guys gonna?" And I think Chris like gamed it out. He like was pricing, and tickets for him and his son, and I think his wife, or even if the wife was like, "Ah, that's your thing, go with our son." It was going to be like traveling there plus hotel, Mania tickets. It started edging into like the $1,000. It's like, what's the fucking point of it?
yeah,
Like the only way at the point, if they continue that someone like me would go again to Mania. Let's say because my wife doesn't really like wrestling. Let's say she's even like, I'll stay with our daughters, and you just go to Mania with your friends. If she was like that nice about it, and it's like, just go. What am I gonna do? I'm not gonna pay like $2,000.
yeah,
Just me, or even 1,000. Me to go to and get a hotel room. And this is like on the East Coast. Let's say I don't have that. I don't have to spend much on travel.
So you
Like
can
even
drive.
if it's in like New York, it's like maybe, or even if like it's in New York, I can take like a train.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's say I'm only paying like a couple $100 on a train ticket up there. I'm gonna pay for like a lot of money probably. Even if the only thing I do is Mania, because now it's night 1, 2. Like a hotel room. The base tickets on Mania would be probably like, I mean, talking nosebleeds. I'd be probably paying like $500 just fucking nosebleed, because that's what they're charging now. It's like I'm not spending like $2,000 just to go to Mania.
And
not
Like I'm not.
And we're talking
that would
about
just potentially just be me, just me. I'm not doing that. I got a family. Like, why would I do that when for like $2,000, my family and I can go on an extraordinarily nice vacation, just all four.
yeah. And the
Like
thing is,
somewhere in America. That's stupid. So that's what they've made it now.
yeah. It's just not happening. That's just
I wouldn't do
There's-
that on principle. I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
on principle. It's like, why would I spend that amount of money on myself? I don't make that. My wife and I are not millionaires, nowhere close.
No, but
I don't make like $1 million a year that it's like, whatever, I can spend 2,000 go on a weekend.
But we're not talking
I would feel
about-
guilty spending that amount of money for something that I'm into, that my girls aren't really into, my wife isn't into. I would feel like when I could take that same amount of money and spend it on my family to go on a nice vacation for me. And that's what they've created this.
And the other problem is though, is like we're not talking about people that are like their average fan. We're talking about like we're all older and have more disposable income. Like you're pricing people like us out.
Yeah. We'd be the hardcore fans that would actually go.
And would have the like I could like the thing with me is like I could afford that, but I'd have to save all year. And like you know, for what that would cost, I could probably go get a nice place on the beach in North Carolina for a week.
Yeah. Exactly what I'm saying. Like my wife and I, we're gonna try to go. We're going for 4th of July. We're gonna go to Virginia Beach, which it's only like a 3.5 hour drive from here. So we can drive there. We're saving money on like just driving down there. First time we've been. We're only going like 3 nights, maybe. It's gonna be the hotel. It's gonna be like a little bit expensive. We have like discounts because like hotels.com discounts, whatever. Like I think we're getting like nights free, heavily discounted. So, but it's still gonna be like hundreds of dollars. But that's like our outside of maybe going to see family, either in California or Texas later this year. Like it's our big family trip.
Yeah.
So maybe I spend not even. I'm gonna egregiously round up $2,000 on our big summer trip to the beach. And it won't be that much, but I'm just saying like we wildly round up between hotel, food, and etc. $2,000 do that. Like why would I not do that with my family? Have like wonderful memories going to the beach with my wife and my girls. Versus like let me spend $2,000 maybe just on tickets. Not even like the hotel, food, flight, whatever, to go see a WWE wrestling show. Like screw that.
And
Like, come on.
Like the truth
And it's
is,
not
too-
even to see the show. It's to sit in the damn nosebleeds where you can't see and you
Stare
can't
at the
hear.
Titantron.
Well,
Stare
yeah.
at the big
And
screen
the other
across
thing
the
is-
ring.
The other thing though for me,
And it's like
The other
the
thing-
wrestlers are this small.
well, the other thing for me though is the shows are too long. Like I don't, even if it was like a promotion I like if like New Japan, I feel like if I wouldn't want to sit for 2 nights for 8 hours. Like I just, for one, like I don't want to be somewhere long enough that I actually have to have like eat a meal between to like, it's too long. And I don't like the 2-night thing. Like, and that's like your whole weekend if you're going for a weekend. Like I don't want to just go for wrestling. I want to sightsee. Like it's just like I don't. And like your back's like my back would hurt after sitting in like an arena seat for that long.
And given the way it is, I cannot imagine that a live WWE event is a lot of fun right now with how much of it is commercials and video package stuff.
Yeah, and I've
Well,
never.
If I'm sitting in my recliner, different story. But it's like, hey, this is a $15, Pabst Blue Ribbon and a $22 nacho, which has 4 chips and a little smattering of the stuff we scraped out of the bottom of the popcorn maker. Doesn't that sound good?
sometimes the
I
arena
spent
food's
$50
better
and
than that.
got like 3 chicken tenders.
Yeah,
And a smattering of fries.
yeah. But I think we're gonna call it a week on that. But yeah, Lucha Libre I think is one of my favorite genres of wrestling. Like I just to give them a shout out too. So if you want to check out CMLL, you can actually get a membership to their YouTube channel, which is $8.99 a month. If you're in the U.S., you get the Tuesday shows live and the Friday show on like a week delay, I think, or a 9-day delay. You can pay more to get Friday live, but I don't see the reason why you would need to. But I think for $9 a month, like 2 shows a week's pretty solid deal. And
They do like bigger shows, like pay-per-views or whatever.
I mean, that's what my Max subscription costs.
It's so the Friday is the Arena Mexico show. I don't know where Tuesday is. I think Friday's the bigger show though. Friday's the big show. Tuesday's kind of like the smaller show. They might do like the Tuesday show in Monterey or something.
I want to point out though, because don't think that it's just like watching a Raw or a SmackDown, where it's just like whatever matches. Here's a 4-minute match. Like, you will actually get really good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, because they're 2 out of 3 falls. So, like, for a Lucha Libre match, you're probably in for like 20 minutes at least.
Yeah.
But so that is it for this week. Thank you for watching as always. Thank you for everyone that stopped by in the chat. We appreciate it. So we'll be back next week. I think we're going to do some USWA next week. So come and check us out again. And